Back in 2022, I learned about a company in Canada called ATI, Armament Technologies. They make the Rolls-Royce of rifle scopes. Absolute top-notch, highest quality rifle scopes. I was intrigued. I called them up, flew on over to Nova Scotia, and I met with Trevor Publicover, and we recorded Silvercore Podcast episode 90. When I first landed in Nova Scotia, we went out for dinner. It was me, Trevor, David, and being in Nova Scotia, I had to order lobster. When I was in the factory for ATI, the owner, Andy, who is the consummate entrepreneur, started off by building and accurizing Remington 700 actions and rifles for the Halifax Police Department and the Boston Police Department. Comes over, he introduces himself, really affable individual, takes Trevor aside, they have a quick chat, and he comes on back. I said, "Is everything okay?" He says, "Oh, yeah, Andy was just saying, that lobster that you ate last night at that restaurant, that's not lobster. You have to get Travis back. Come on back here. I want to show him what real lobster is." Fast forward a year, I'm in Nuremberg in Germany. IWA, it's a show. Who do I run into but Trevor and David again, and end up at a restaurant with Andreas. He's owns a company called Swiss Locks, and they're a distributor for Desert Tech and ATI and a few other firearms related brands, and the entire restaurant's been booked out. Had an amazing evening, some interesting stories to share off of that one, possibly in the future. And again, Trevor says, "You gotta come over." Andy is serious. "Come on by, we're gonna have a lobster feast." Well, I decided to take him up on it. My wife and I flew over to Nova Scotia, caught the red eye, didn't get any sleep through the night. Trevor picks us up in the morning, tours us around. We pick up his wife, whole day checking out the sights, ended up at the Bicycle Thief restaurant on the coast there. Great restaurant, and who happens to also be there but Andreas from Swiss Locks. Small world, kind of funny how it all works out. Ended up ordering some oysters. That tray turned into another tray, which turned into another tray, until finally Andreas and his friend had to take off to the airport to grab a plane back home to Switzerland. Even though it had been well over 24 hours and I hadn't slept, I barely noticed. The company was too great, having too good of a time. The next day, take off up to Andy's cottage, smallmouth bass fishing, a lobster feast like you wouldn't believe, the best lobster I've ever had in my life. This was a stellar chance to spend some time with some extraordinary people, the kind that you don't often get to meet. ATI left me with a cutting-edge sense of innovation, entrepreneurial spirit, and the tight-knit sense of family that they've nurtured. From Nova Scotia, I flew over to Toronto. This is where I got to go check out Antler Restaurant. I met up with Harrison from Marathon Watches. We had an amazing meal. Duck heart yakitori, bison ribeye, maple brine boar, seared foie gras, capped off with Antler's very own cedar gin cocktails. Amazing evening, got a good rest, met with Michael Hunter the next day, and we recorded this podcast. I do say this in the podcast, but it does bear repeating here that I'm extremely grateful for my friend Shani from Stoger for helping facilitate and set up the meeting with Michael so that we could actually record this podcast for you guys. Now, why do I bring all of these things up? Well, for a very specific reason. If you're unable to get yourself to Toronto to visit the world famous Antler Restaurant, well, we're giving away the Hunter Chef Cookbook. Hunt, fish, and forage in over 100 recipes. Stoger, well, if you're a Silvercore Club member, you'll already know, or should already know, you get discounts at Stoger. Here we've got a beautiful Benelli range bag, perfect at the range, perfect in the blind. This one is getting given away. I can't talk about ATI without bringing up the fact that, well, here we go. Speed, accuracy, or integrity, the SAI optic here, 1:6 by 24 millimeter. This guy is also getting given away. And yes, I've mentioned Harrison from Marathon Watches. They've been supplying Allied forces with military-grade, Swiss-engineered watches since 1941. We've got the red Arctic maple G-SAR watch with a stainless steel strap that's also being given away. Cap it all off, we've got a Silvercore swag package. but you're going to want to make sure that you subscribe to the Silvercore Podcast, that you follow on social media so you can see how you can win these items that I've just talked about for free. If you're not a member of the Silvercore Club, I'd highly recommend you consider checking that out. Without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. If you're a hunter, a foodie, a game meat connoisseur, you'll have undoubtedly heard of today's guest. He shot to meteoric fame, or perhaps infamy, when he responded to protesting vegans outside his immensely popular Antler Restaurant by butchering a deer leg in front of them. Welcome to the Silvercore Podcast, Michael Hunter.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is great. Food, amazing. Ate here last night. Had Harrison from Marathon Watches. He and I had a meeting here. Actually sat in that table right over there in the corner. Oh my God, it was so good.
Right on.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't been to this restaurant, I'd 100% recommend coming here. I was expecting it to be good. I wasn't expecting it to be that good. It was amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I think we should start out by thanking Shani.
Yes.
Shani from Stoger, who put us in touch here.
Stoger, Canada. Thank you.
Holy crow. Thanks, Shani. That's amazing. You've been working with Stoger for a while now, haven't you?
I have. So I rep Franke shotguns and rifles. Funny how a Franke, I think it was an Intensity, now they're called Affinity, was my first semi-auto shotgun. I graduated from a pump, and I wanted to shoot more geese and ducks, graduated to a semi-auto, and I fell in love with it. And I think I was 25, and I still have it to this day. It still cycles in -30 when I'm goose hunting in a dry field, where some of my buddies are, jamming and not cycling properly. I actually write wild game recipes for the brand. They've got a website called the Franke Food Academy.
That's right.
And that's sort of how that connection works.
Yeah, my wife, actually, she's a chef. She wrote something for Franke there as well.
Very cool.
A while ago, and I think it was a bear recipe, but they had to change it a little bit because I guess it's just not as politically correct to be bear. So,
well, I think in Italy there's really nowhere to hunt bear. So yeah, for me, I try to just work with stuff that's available to everyone in Europe, because it's not just for North America, it's for Europe as well. So, wild boar is very popular.
Yeah.
Everything, deer, the goats, some of the sheep, small game, all that stuff is prevalent over there. That they don't have the means to hunt bear, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they changed it to a boar recipe, but it worked too. It worked either way.
Yeah, I think they can go to the closest they can go. I think it was like Siberia or something to shoot a bear. Or somewhere in Russia.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's nowhere really kind of close to home for them. But
so, okay, first thing, the first point that I brought up in the intro here. Congratulations, that's amazing. By the way, that was probably a point of frustration for you. But holy crow, what a pivot point. What do they call it? An inflection point.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you mentioned frustration. I was probably more on the enraged side. And that was the product of me actually having to be here that night. They were coming once a week. They had been coming for 3 months, and I would leave because I knew that I was going to do something incredibly stupid that was either going to get me, arrested or charged or just, canceled. And, thankfully I did something that, was the exact opposite of that. But that was just luck, I think, because I was really, really upset. They were taking photos of my kids that I had a public Facebook account.
Oh, I didn't know
Instagram.
that part.
My stuff was public, so that at that time anyway, so they had, taken all, family photos and put them online on their vegan websites. So there was death threats and, all kinds of stuff going around that made me really upset. So, and I think eventually it led to some people actually getting charged, which shut down the protests. But, they came once a week for 11 months to this restaurant.
11 months?
Yeah.
All because you had, a sign that said...
Venison is the new kale.
And that set one person off.
And I don't even remember the exact year. It might have been 2017, 2018 when this all happened. But, kale salads were on like every menu across the city. Mm-hmm. So it was just, and I didn't even come up with it. One of our servers came up with it as sort of like a fun little play on our chalkboard sign. Like,
Right.
you ate here last night. We're 45 seats. We're not a big, huge corporate place. I have one business partner. We're a little family, restaurant. And it was just like a laugh, and a vegan cyclist rode her bike by and took grave offense to it, and decided they were going to try and shut us down. And that was literally in their messaging, we're going to shut this restaurant down because they serve meat. And it was just bizarre.
Despite the fact there's a butcher shop across the road.
And I, accidentally called them out in an interview. I said, "There's a butcher shop across the street." They had to respond to that. Unfortunately, I apologized. I didn't mean to, try and get them canceled or something, right? But they literally have half sides of beef hanging in their window, and it's like, why are you? And they said, "Oh, we're promoting the humane meat myth that, raising animals in a outdoor environment that are treated properly is a myth that, because at the end of the day, they don't want to die." And, the funny thing was that we actually had, 2 vegan items on the menu. Like, they didn't do their research about us at all. Because we treat this like it's our home, and everyone's welcome in our home, and the guests are they're guests in our home. And, if you're halal or kosher or vegan, whatever it is, we do our best to accommodate. And, if someone called us and they wanted something halal, a lot of the game farms we use, they use halal, they use halal or kind of kosher practices, not that there's a rabbi blessing it, but, some of the stuff is actually available halal or kosher. So it's, it was kind of funny that they chose us because we welcome everyone. And So that's kind of what happened after my extreme frustration.
They chose the wrong person to pick a fight with, apparently.
Yeah, my mom, I guess, raised me not to put up with other people's BS, so to speak. So,
did you think that one little act would have such a consequence?
God, no. We were meeting with some sort of restaurant potential partners for growth, and we were all having dinner together while this was blowing up on our phones, and we were like, "Oh my God, I hope they don't see this." What is happening? Because initially it was negative. I think it happened on a Thursday. We were having this dinner on a Friday, and it was like on the Apple News when you kind of look at your phone,
right?
It's just like on the home screen, and we were like, "Uh-oh." And we were getting absolutely pounded with like 1-star Facebook and Google reviews from people, from all over the world that have never been here, that we're just vegan, trying to cancel us.
Yeah.
So, the initial virality of the whole thing was negative. And, I think it wasn't until Monday that a local, online blog magazine got a hold of it. And they put it out there, then the mainstream media got it, and it flipped, instantly to positive for us. People were supporting us. People loved, my reaction to it. But, the initial 3-4 days, I thought we were screwed. I thought our restaurant was canceled. So
I feel like we're moving past cancel culture. I don't know what your feeling is.
I really hope so.
Yeah, I just get the sense that people are starting to wake up and say, like, come on.
Yeah. Especially because what I did was within, well within my rights. It was sort of my, protest back. And, someone said to me once when I was worried about it at the time, the world's run by meat eaters. This is not bad. So,
right. So did you go front or you just in the window here?
In the window, yeah. I knew that if I went outside,
it would be bad.
It would be very bad.
Man with a knife.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys that was like, putting the stuff of my kids online was standing on the sidewalk, and I knew that if I got within face to face of this man, it was going to be bad. So I stayed inside.
So you ended up on Rogan's podcast because of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I knew who Joe Rogan was. This was when he was still in LA.
Yeah.
I don't think I even had Spotify or these podcast apps on my phone at that point. Like, I didn't even know he had a podcast, which was the funny thing.
Like he's the guy from News Radio?
Yeah, well, News Radio, the UFC,
Sure.
Fear Factor. Like, I knew who he was.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, I think it was our podcast, the one I was on, was 1105, I think. So he'd done 1,100 podcasts already. Like, it's, he wasn't like a new guy, and I'd never listened to his podcast, so I didn't know, how big he was. But yeah, that was an incredible experience. He's a great guy, a great voice for the hunting community, and it was just, it was awesome to have someone like that sort of, in our corner, kind of having our back a little bit, and it was amazing.
What was that experience like?
It was really cool. My dad lived in Los Angeles, or south of Los Angeles, for about 30 years. So it was really great. I got to go visit my dad, and went to the studio and hung out with him for an afternoon. And it was a wonderful experience. Again, he's really great at what he does, and I think that was probably the first podcast I'd ever done.
Man, that guy, I don't really listen to too many podcasts. In fact, prior to starting my own podcast, I was on one and I saw one live. And the live one was a Meat Eater podcast. And at that time, I'd never even heard of Meat Eater. And my wife got me this present of go get to see this live, go down to Seattle. I'm like, well, I was like, I don't know who this Meat Eater company is. I don't know who this Steve Ranella guy is. And I don't listen to podcasts. Like,
what is this?
It's like, thank you. But it was pretty cool. It was neat to get to meet the guys and girls there. And actually became friends with a few of them. Was asked to be on a podcast. Guy comes down, crack a couple of beers, hooks in his recorder. I was like, well, this is kind of fun, actually. You just get to sit here and talk. This is amazing. So, I'm kind of like you. I haven't actually heard too many of Rogan's podcasts, but I did listen to the one that you were on because, of course, I wanted to hear what you had to say. And I think for the first, the majority of it was basically Joe talking. And I'm like, did this guy, I don't know, did this guy just read an encyclopedia before sitting down with you? He's pulling out dates and figures and facts about hunting. And
he's extremely intelligent. I love the fact that he's got experts from all different fields, all walks of life, all political spectrums. It's really neat listening to someone that, doesn't have an agenda of his own, kind of going forth. The funny thing with the vegan scenario, it just happened to he had done a lot of vegan bits on his new special. So it was kind of, just at that time when, the vegan cat thing was blowing up on the internet and going viral. And I guess he had a lot of vegan stuff material worked into his show that he was currently either working on, or I can't remember if he was already touring with it or not, but there was a big kind of vegan bit in his act. So I think it just fit perfectly into, what he was kind of thinking about and talking about and, making jokes about anyway.
So what happened after that podcast?
He found us because it had already gone viral. Every single news outlet in Canada and the United States had done a piece on it. We didn't know what we were doing, so we spoke to a person in PR that had actually specialized working for the government in crisis PR. Had just happened to be a friend of mine. So she kind of gave us some coaching. We did one interview with a big national magazine, the Globe and Mail, here, and she's like, "That's it. Don't give any more interviews. That's the interview. That's the statement. Every other news article and magazine will pick up off that and just quote you based on that." Because what happens is when you talk to 10 different people or magazine outlets, whatever it is, it's like telephone tag. Your story will change a little bit. They get more views from you. They get and by views I mean your opinions, and you don't want to I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to be educated. So we kept it at one statement, and it blew up. People Magazine, the Washington Post, Fox News, it blew up. So, it was already viral. The real crazy part is that it was all over the world. People were because of cooking and traveling for events and stuff, I've worked all over the world. Friends were sending me articles from Russia, England, France, Italy, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Africa. It was absolutely insane. And, you see these things go viral, but when it happens to you, it's very different. It's a blessing that it was a positive thing. But yeah, when people blow up and go viral, I really feel for them sometimes because it's not something that you plan for. It's not necessarily something that you want. And I want to be recognized for our positive qualities at the restaurant and whatever. And I'm glad that it had a positive spin, but I'm forever going to be the guy that butchered a deer in front of vegans in the window, Yeah, so I don't, there's no ill will towards vegans. They're still welcome at the restaurant. We still, it's, but yeah, it was a crazy experience. But, being on the Rogan podcast, again, it just sort of aided to that virality, and we get so many travelers from the States and all over the world that, we heard you on Rogan, we came for dinner. So
you're still getting that, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and at the time, people were like driving from the States. So someone drove from Washington, someone drove, I forget where people drove here because they heard us on Rogan. It was bizarre. Yeah.
Wow.
Really, really cool.
Well, that's good for business.
It was amazing for business. Our business doubled overnight at the time, which created its own set of challenges. We had to hire new staff. The staff that were here got extremely burnt out and tired and stressed. Our suppliers, like we buy from little family farms and small suppliers, so they couldn't necessarily keep up with the demand. So yeah, it had a whole slew of challenges. We had to hire security on the nights that they were here. We had to work with the police to make sure that everyone was keeping the peace. Our supporters and the vegan supporters, because they were clashing. There were hundreds of people on the street at times, so they were clashing. It was it was tough. It's not something that you plan for. It's not something you understand. As a business owner, you don't even know how to manage it at the time. So,
and has that calmed down a bit now?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like long gone.
Okay. So what are you gonna have to do next to get the lineups out the door, get the people driving from Washington?
Yeah, I think because after that, COVID happened, and so all travel shut down. Business travel, has extremely slowed down. Interest rates, the economy, there's new challenges right now to face. But because of all that, we are so well known, and it definitely was a blessing in disguise.
How long was your business around before COVID hit?
We had been here for I think 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. And you're able to survive COVID.
We were able to survive COVID, yeah, and we had a really great community around us that were supported. We were doing takeout stuff, meal kits, online cooking stuff with brands. We did a dinner series with Amex that was all online, and we sent like recipe kits to people's homes and did like a cooking class, and we had a really, really great community in the city that supported us.
So I'm from BC, and in BC we have off sales. I've had that for quite some time.
Yeah.
Where people can come in, they can buy alcohol from a restaurant, pub, whatever, and then they go home with it. But I understand here it's only been around for about 4 years.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Okay, it was because of COVID and nothing to do with any of your input or what?
No, not at all. That was they changed that law almost immediately so that restaurants could sell, basically dead stock. If you had bottles of beer, you could sell it. If you had wine unopened from your cellar, you could sell it. So they actually changed that law to help kind of support us. That was one of the ways that we stayed in business.
Yeah, I read a rumor somewhere that you may have had a bit of a hand in complaining. Pushing.
I took the blame for it, but my business partner actually wrote and sent the letter. They kept toying. Well, I don't know if toying with us is the right word, but Ontario was one of the worst provinces to be in during COVID. They shut us down for the longest, and they kept trying to reopen, and then they'd open, and then it would get so bad, it would get out of control, so they'd shut us down, and it was this like open close, and they had said that we could open. It was springtime. We could open our patios or whatever it was. So we ordered in all this food, all this beer. I think we opened, had a keg tapped. And then after the weekend, they shut us down. Or it was like, they opened for 2 days and then shut us down. So my business partner wrote a strongly worded email or letter to the Ford government. And then he also sent it to, I forget which newspaper. So the newspaper published it. And basically my business partner sent the government an invoice for our keg or something. It was like trivial, right? But it was, there was some sort of comic relief behind it. But so that was published, and but that didn't have anything to do with the laws changing. But that was just hey, you told us we could open. This stuff has a shelf life. Now we can't sell it. We're closed for another month.
Did you get paid back?
No, they ignored our email, letter, whatever it was. But yeah, that was another thing that kind of got us some publicity. But we did some other stuff during. We set up a GoFundMe for healthcare workers. We did some meals for nurses and doctors and things like that we took to the hospital and delivered. And it was again just to get rid of our stock. Like we had fridges full of food that we didn't want to go to waste. Food banks can only take certain things or so much. They don't take prepared food. So it was a really great way to sort of raise money to pay for the food, but also feed the frontline workers that were working so hard.
Now, you work with a number of different companies right now, don't you? I think Mossy Oak is one of them.
On the hunting side, yeah. So my love of food and wild food, inspired me to write a cookbook. I think it started 15 years ago. I was working at an Italian restaurant called Scarpetta at the time. The head chef there was a big famous chef from the States, and he had just opened a restaurant in Toronto. And he handed me his cookbook. And, to me, Scott was just a regular guy, and I kind of was like, if this guy can write a cookbook, I can write a cookbook. And, I grew up fox hunting with hounds, but it wasn't really for food, and I didn't start hunting for food until I was 18. But the more time I spend outside, the less time I want to spend in the kitchen at work. And I was just obsessed with foraging, and I was even gardening, and I was obsessed with hunting. And it was new for me, so all my friends and family, it was new for them. They wanted me to either take them or teach them or show them what basically what I was learning. And I just got this idea like, I want to write a book about what I'm doing because there's so many people interested in it. So that's sort of how the book came to be.
And how's the book been doing for you?
Book's great. It launched during COVID, but it was a great time to have a product that was shelf stable that we could sell to support ourselves, and really well received by the public. I think it's approachable to the home cook as well as professional chefs. The recipes aren't too challenging or difficult, and a lot of the stuff there's a little foraging guides that. Some of the stuff, mushrooms and whatever you can find in the city, which is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's approachable for people that are want to learn about hunting and foraging and fishing, but it also appeals to home cooks and chefs.
It's amazing what you can find growing out of the sidewalk that you can actually eat.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right? I want to be careful in the city, but
perhaps. Yeah. I did a little hike around here for a few miles this morning, and just kind of establishing a baseline and. Looking at the little gardens that people have, impromptu gardens people in little back alleys have set up, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. There's lots of city parks where there'll be huge mushrooms growing on trees that are edible, and wild herbs growing down by the riverbanks and stuff. It's pretty neat. It's fun to explore and see what's around that you can eat.
So, how do you find navigating the social media side of things, the marketing side, because you're working with hunting companies, you're working with firearms companies, and Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, and their AI bots and their everyone else. But on top of that, you're going to have all these eyes on you, perhaps other vegans who are constantly reporting your posts.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that right now. It never was an issue for me because I found that it's, when you talk to people about hunting from the food side of it, it really piques their interest when they're non-hunters. People that don't hunt and aren't firearm shooters, they just think, we just want to kill stuff and put the head on the wall. And it's, for many hunters, it's so far from the truth. So I didn't have any issues with it. I think now that Meta is using AI technology to flag posts, I'm going through the ringer. Turkey calls, optics, things are getting flagged as dangerous weapons, and it's like these are legal tools that I'm using. Like sport shooting and clay shooting and all these things are Olympic sports. Why am I being flagged for this? But it's at the end of the day, they're a private company. They can do what they want. And, we all sign up and, agree to the terms and conditions. So, it's frustrating at the end of the day, but, there's not much we can do about it. And I'm exploring sort of other platforms and trying to focus on the cooking.
Yeah, I guess that's where the question is kind of going. Like, for me, if I'm taking a picture and it's got a firearm in it, I'm now very conscious about maybe it's just a part of the receiver, right?
Yeah.
And you can kind of see a bit of the trigger, and people who know can put it together, but hopefully AI isn't.
No, mine's
it
been flagged. I had a turkey call, and it's the same thing, the receiver of a shotgun, and it got flagged.
Really?
I had a shotgun shell in an open receiver that got flagged. It's
just crazy.
Yeah.
So
and I've tried appealing it, and it's not. I've appealed it and overcame some stuff before, but this one's it's sticking.
So would you just pull it down then?
I've just left it up. That just, says my account's not being shown to non-followers. Like, it's okay. Like, they're not threatening to take my account down. So
sure.
We'll see. But yeah, it's frustrating, especially when I'm trying to grow a business and I'm passionate about, sharing wild food and recipes with people. It's frustrating, but.
What other avenues are you looking at?
I might start focusing more on kind of YouTube and just the cooking side of things. I haven't really monetized my YouTube. I haven't really focused on putting content on there. So, I might start, looking at doing that. I've developed a page, and sort of a little COVID project was just to get a page up. And I've got a couple long format videos, but most of them are shorts. But yeah, I might start focusing on that. TikTok is even more strict than Meta, so I know the TikTok's just food. But but if it's a private company, and it's their terms and conditions. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
We need someone in the hunting community to start a platform.
Yeah, and then actually take off.
Yeah,
do something, right?
Maybe Twitter's the answer with Musk and his free speech. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm always curious about that, just because. A similar type of business other than the cooking part of it. Hunting outdoors, firearms, and all the rest. And I think the newsletter is a pretty valuable tool.
Okay,
that's something that I've come to learn because Meta can't put controls around that. So utilizing Meta to grow a newsletter list by providing free assets or whatever it might be. Yeah, I'm terrible at monetizing things. I tend to give it all away for free, but it's one of these things. Yeah, that's something I've been exploring. But you just got back from a bit of a road trip too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I drove to West Point, Mississippi, the home of Mossy Oak, where I've got some dear friends down there that I went and picked up a black lab puppy.
And this is your first puppy in a long time?
My first puppy in a long time. Like I mentioned, I grew up with hounds and fox hunting dogs, foxhounds as they're called. But and I had German Shepherds growing up. Recently in the last decade, my mom's had a couple lurchers, which are like greyhound crosses.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a long time since I've had a puppy, so it's definitely eye-opening experience.
Did you get much sleep last night?
Last night I did. The night before, no. So last night was I think he slept from 10:30 to 5:30, so it was great.
It's like having a newborn, isn't it?
Yeah.
I completely got a puppy a couple of years ago. I was out. There's a place I was voted into. They've only got 8 members, and you either have to leave or pass away. And unfortunately, somebody passed away, but that opened a spot. I was voted in for a hunting shack.
Okay.
And with that hunting shack also comes the ability to do some pheasant hunting, which
cool.
I'd never done before.
Yeah.
I mean, these are released birds, but it was it's always just been waterfowl and out in that area. But anyways, pheasant happened to show up, flew up in the air. I shot the thing and went down with a thud, feathers everywhere. And I look over at my buddy. I'm like, hey, it's my first pheasant, right? And everyone's hooting and hollering. And then I spent the next 4.5 hours looking for it. Couldn't find the thing. And I must have hit, like it was a solid shot. And the thing went down. There were so many feathers. It went straight down. And I thought for sure it must have had enough energy to do a runner. And it's in a swampy kind of marshy area. Anyways, I got on the phone. I called my wife up and I said, we're getting a dog. She's like, well, I've already been researching them. So she was already on it. We got ourselves a pup, a small Moonsterlander, and I'd never even heard of the breed before. But
neither have I.
Yeah, it's A great versatile dog, really good for upland game, and it's been doing well for waterfowl as well
very
for
cool.
me. Yeah, which is
awesome.
pretty cool. They're supposed to have tons of energy outside and turn it off inside, which he kind of does.
Yeah.
But what I wasn't prepared for was the first few weeks of basically having a newborn in the house, and you're up every couple hours, letting it out and dealing with it. Yeah, that was eye-opener for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. But he's great. Like I've been crate training him, and he doesn't go to the bathroom in his crate, and I let him out every couple hours, and he slept last night for the first time, so it was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the food that you get in here, right? Because people are going to say, hold on a second, you can't have wild game in a restaurant, which is true except for maybe, Newfoundland?
Newfoundland, yeah, or if it's charity. So if we're doing a charity event, we will. So we work with all the local game farms that are in Ontario and a farm in Alberta for their bison. So it's all game animals, but they are slaughtered in a federally inspected facility. It goes to a processor, and then it gets delivered here.
Got it.
Yeah. So we do like duck, pheasant. We do lots of wild fish, wild seafood and shellfish. And then, I think we do duck, rabbit, wild boar, venison, bison. I think right now there's wild shrimp from BC, or side stripe shrimp.
Right.
We'll do, East Coast scallops and oysters and things like that. We're doing a steelhead trout at the moment. We'll do Arctic char when that's running, and salmon, springs, halibut, all that stuff. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And a little bit of lobster, too.
Yes, thank you very much for my lobster delivery.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Halifax was over there for the last few weeks. Spent a week with Armament Technology, fantastic company, doing some smallmouth bass fishing.
Yeah.
First time I've ever fished for smallmouth bass, because we don't really get it where we're at. Apparently there's some secret spots where people have released them, but in BC. And all you can eat lobster was at the owners. We call them cabins. You guys call them cottages, I think.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yes. At the owner's cottage up there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was really good. And so, anyways, I was looking for places to get lobster. Turns out right at the airport, they got lobster right there. And
cool.
Still pretty fresh because their season just ended.
Yeah.
And so I call them up, and not a problem. We'll put some aside. Like, I had no clue how it worked. I didn't realize they have hundreds of lobster right there in a tank at the airport.
Yeah. Oh, hilarious.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he was hoping to get 10 pounds of lobster, and so okay, we'll have it all ready for you. So I go and I pick it up and get the bill. I'm like, holy crow, they sure hose you at the airport. Okay, whatever, right? And I go in to check out with this thing, and they put it on the scale, and looking at the weight, and I look at the receipt, and they give me almost 23 pounds of lobster.
Oh no!
Right? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess he's getting 23 pounds of lobster. Oh, and I thought, wait a minute.
I haven't even looked at the box yet.
It's like, what if he can't use 23 pounds? What if I'm going back and forth? So I'm running back over, and I explain to them, and okay, fair enough. And they go back and get it down to about 11 pounds, I think it was. And put their dry ice pack in. Then, of course, the airport, they're like, well, that's a check-on bag. We want to charge you an extra $70. I'm like,
oh, man.
Well, can I just gate check it? I'm like, okay, no problem. You can gate check it. Right, okay. So go through security. Security says, what are you doing with dry ice in here?
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, come on, right? I guess I usually use frozen peas. So I said, well, those Ziploc bags that you have over there, can I get a bunch of those? And they're like, yeah, okay. So I ran over to Tim Hortons on the other side and got him to fill it full of ice. And
hilarious.
anyways, it all worked out.
Well, thank you, man. I didn't realize how much trouble it was.
I wouldn't call it trouble. It was just kind of fun. It was a bit of an adventure. And I had enough time to go through and do it. It was just interesting dealing with each one of the individuals on there.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm surprised that they would actually pack it with dry ice at the airport when you're telling them you're flying with it.
Well, that's it, right? Well, I guess
it changes the cabin pressure, right, which can be detrimental to flying.
What does the dry ice?
The dry ice, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Because it's a gas, and it's so it'll change the cabin pressure, which can cause an emergency.
Okay. I figured it was because, like when I was younger, we'd use dry ice and we'd put them in bottles and a little bit of water, cap them up, and throw them and watch them hopefully blow up.
Yeah.
But,
well, I guess that too, right? It can the pressure can explode, and it changes the pressure in the plane.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay.
There's actually stories of little hobby pilots, flying with guys on hunting trips that that they didn't ask, and their actually plane goes down. So I've heard. Anyway,
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if it could be folklore. I don't know, but
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That never even crossed my mind. I'm
Yeah.
sure the listeners will have their
yeah, I
two bits
know.
to
Yeah,
put in. But
someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure.
yeah,
And let us know. But,
totally. Yeah, that's I love it. If you really want something to take off,
yeah.
put some inaccuracies in there. Everybody will jump in to correct you.
I've heard that people try and engagement farm by putting spelling mistakes in their posts. So I don't care about likes and comments that much, but yeah.
One thing I've learned is if you're going to be posting about foraging,
Yep.
there's that whole community that knows a lot more about foraging than I ever.
Yeah, the Latin names of everything.
That's
I don't
right.
know them, but
They're not
I know
oval
some
leaves.
of them. Yeah.
They're ovate.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I love is when complete strangers send me pictures of mushrooms that, when you're taking a picture of a mushroom and you want it for identification, you have to get multiple angles, the soil or the wood that it's on, the gills or the absence of gills. There's all these things you should do when photographing mushrooms to try and get the ID, on top of getting a spore print, which is
Right.
one of the most accurate ways to, help identify mushrooms. I'll get these like blurry photos of like one
Just
angle
a top.
of a mushroom. I don't know if it's in dirt or wood from a complete stranger. And it's like, is this safe to eat? And it's like, well, and a lot of times I'll send them back, as a complete stranger, you might not want to ask this, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I mean well, but I'm wrong? Like you could die, So yeah, please don't send me mushroom ID pictures. Because I'm also not a mycologist, I know the mushrooms that I know. But there's a vast array of mushrooms that, the scientists don't even know what they are. It's such a, huge topic. Yeah. So I always find that funny.
I see the memes and people in the mushroom forums like, oh, what's this? And they take a picture of top of somebody's head and they're like, do you know who this is? Right? It's like same sort of thing. Got it. You got to have all these different angles. You know who Hank Shaw is?
I do. Yeah. He did one of his book tour came through Toronto. So we did a dinner with Hank.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So
great dude.
He was the guy that got me into foraging.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I went down, visited with him and went through the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And I had zero interest in foraging. I had zero interest in going out and picking mushrooms. But the second you learn about it, and you learn a little bit about
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, and you don't see them until someone shows you, and then you recognize that they're everywhere.
Oh yeah, and it's like an Easter egg hunt for adults,
Yes,
right? It's
totally.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I can also see how people can get lost when they're foraging.
Oh yeah. I would be hunting. I used to piss my friends off. We'd be turkey hunting, and they'd be 300 yards ahead, and I'm on my hands and knees in the woods picking morels, and they're like, "Where is this guy? Like, are you kidding me? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got a hat full of morels," and they're like, "Can you eat those?" And I actually sent my friend home. Like, we found tons, and his wife wouldn't touch them. He was like, "I don't trust those." And anyway, that's funny.
But they got to be cooked first, right?
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
Friend went out and picked a bunch of morels, and she's like, "I don't know why we all got stomach aches. I don't know what's going on. We're eating them raw."
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
That might be why. Apparently, they should be cooked first.
Yes. Yeah. I think they recommend all wild mushrooms to cook them first, but I've eaten a little bit kind of here and there raw, but yeah, you should.
Yeah.
If you eat a big bowl full of them raw, you're going to get a stomach ache.
I think that's what they did. They're out hunting and they just
Put them in a salad or something.
Yeah.
They're also like little bugs too. Like I'll put them in chanterelles can be too. Put them in a thing of salt water for 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll see all the little bugs come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just visually look for if they're buggy or not. But I guess
sometimes
you
can't tell. Yeah, they're like those tiny little fly worms.
Okay.
They're little white guys, and they'll just, even though you think there's no mushrooms in them, if you're cooking them, it's not a big deal. But I always try and soak them for a couple minutes in salt water.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Give them a rinse and a shake, and
That's right.
you'll see all the dirt and stuff at the bottom. And then the one thing the tip I have for washing wild mushrooms, because a lot of mushrooms will soak up the water. Put it on a baking sheet with a kitchen towel for 5-10 minutes, or put it in your fridge on that towel, and it'll absorb all the extra water, and they'll kind of dry out.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Good tip.
So you should be washing them.
You definitely should be cooking them, but if you want to get, sometimes the morels and chanterelles, depending on the soil, they can be really sandy. And the morels with all little holes in the, that kind of brain-like structure, it's a good spot for sand. So if they're really sandy, I'll always wash them, because nothing like worse than kind of gritty food.
So you're a big time turkey hunter, from what I understand.
So turkey hunting was the first animal I hunted for food. And I was, as a chef, I've been working in restaurants since I was 13 years old. And turkey's really one of the only meats that's, mass produced farm that everyone knows what it tastes like. So to see the stark contrast between wild turkey and farm turkey really just blew my socks off. It was immediately after shooting it, it's like, oh, it's a lot smaller than these farmed things. Where I told my friend I wanted to pluck it, so he showed me how to pluck it, and the fat's yellow, the skin's yellow. I was like, oh wow, the breast meat was like pink like pork. The legs are dark, like almost like deer meat.
Right.
So it was just so visually different. And then when I cooked it, my mom, we invited my friend that took me hunting for dinner, and my mom says, this doesn't even taste like turkey. And he said, no, that shit in the grocery store doesn't taste like turkey. This is how turkey's supposed to taste like. And that was really the light bulb for me. I had just seen the documentary Food Inc., so I was learning about, hormones and, the foods that animals aren't even sick or consuming all these antibiotics and hormones and things like that. And I was just sort of already, like, I had started a vegetable garden. I was, trying to buy organic and was really conscious about where my food was coming from. And then this turkey came to light and was like, this is what turkey's supposed to taste like. And that's when I went down the hunting rabbit hole.
I always, growing up, I wasn't a big fan of turkey.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan of, like, a Thanksgiving dinner because as a kid, I'd pick up the vegetables with my fork, and if they didn't fall through the tines, then they probably weren't cooked enough. And you cut into the turkey, if you didn't see a big come out, probably wasn't cooked enough. And I remember coming home, long shift, and my wife had put in a long shift at work, but she wanted to make a Thanksgiving dinner and did up some turkey. I'm like, oh my God, this is not my favorite food.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts and then turkey and cranberries, and like none of these things are things I grew up that I liked. And I'm like trying to put on a brave face and be like, okay, well, I can eat anything. Yeah. Basically. Porridge is probably the only thing I've had a difficult time. That's a different story. And I was blown away by how good it was and how when it's prepared properly and you don't just put the whole bird in the oven. She's like, well, the breast cooks at different temperatures and rates than the leg meat will. And so you take them all apart. It doesn't have the pretty presentation of a whole bird, but it's going to taste good. Yeah. How do you like to cook your turkey?
So wild turkey versus farm turkey, I will stick a whole farm turkey in the oven. But wild turkey, I pluck it. Because I want to make stock with the bones and stuff, but I will separate the leg and the breasts. And the recipe in my cookbook, which I love and I still make, is I stuff the breast with goat cheese, morels, and ramps, wild leeks. Yep. With like a sourdough kind of breadcrumb, and it is absolutely one of my favorite things of all time. And then what I've been doing recently is I would usually either smoke or braise the legs, but I've been into the pressure cooker lately. So turkey legs in a pressure cooker take like anywhere, depending, because you can get different weights for the top to regulate pressure. So the higher the pressure, the lower the cooking time. But yeah, you can do turkey legs in a high pressure cooker in about half an hour, 45 minutes. And I cook it with stock and barbecue sauce, and then once the meat can be shredded just by hand or with a fork, reduce that cooking liquid into your barbecue sauce, mix it all together, and do like sliders or pulled turkey.
Amazing!
It's incredible. So that's been my go-to, lately for turkey legs.
Yeah, those pressure cookers are amazing. What they can do too.
Yeah, and I've been sort of reading about pressure canning, so that's kind of why I got it.
Okay.
And doing a little bit of just kind of preserving. I want to can. Friends of mine do canned moose. Yeah. But they're not using jars; they use actual cans. Yeah. Because they're lighter and easier to travel with, and they'll do whatever seasonings to basically have like a ready-to-go meal in a can. That's safer when you can when you pressure can it. It doesn't have to have higher salt or higher acid to preserve it. Right. The heat and pressure basically preserves it. And they said, you just throw the can in the fire when you're on a snowmobiling trip or a hunt trip, and heat stuff up in the fire just in the can. So for me, that was really cool. So I've been sort of researching and geeking out on that recently.
That is a good idea. Well, don't those cans have like a coating on the inside so your food doesn't react with it that could, if you're in the fire, kind of melt off a bit?
I don't know. That would I think they're just tin, but I'm not sure. Maybe grocery store cans have that. I'm not sure.
Maybe that's it.
Because there's actually a restaurant in Quebec. They've been doing like a duck confit cassoulet kind of dish in a can where they open it up at your table and dump it out. So, and they heat that up. I think they steam the can or something. But
got it.
Yeah. So I think you'd have to be careful about what kind of tin you're using and if there is that coating on it. Yeah, I've done the pressure canning in the glass. I haven't found the cans are a little bit of a different setup, and you have to actually buy the machine to seal them.
Right.
It's like this big tabletop thing, and they're a couple $1,000s. So I haven't graduated to that yet.
Not yet.
I'm not that serious yet.
Not yet.
But maybe one day.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky for the longest time. Right next door to the studio in Vancouver was a butcher packer supply.
Oh, cool.
And so every year for Christmas and birthdays and Valentine's Day, the gift was, hey, you're getting a meat slicer.
Oh, cool.
Hey, you're getting a sausage stuffer.
Perfect.
Hey, right?
Absolutely perfect.
And she loved it. So it worked out well for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, pressure cooking. Oxtail. That's one of my favorite things in a pressure cooker.
Yeah. Jamaican cuisine, oxtail.
So when it comes to turkey,
Yep.
I haven't done much turkey hunting.
Yeah.
School me. If I'm going to be a successful turkey hunter, what are some things that I need to be good at?
I guess prepare yourself for disappointment.
Okay, I've got that. Check. I got that one.
So turkeys have incredible eyesight. You know, they can't smell us, thank God, or we'd never shoot them. But they just have incredible eyesight. So really either get yourself a really good blind or you have to be really still and kind of sit behind some kind of natural blind. But movement and, camouflage and just like having mesh kind of over your face and gloves and stuff. But movement is kind of their number one sort of things they'll pick off if they see you.
Okay.
So you just have to sit really, really still. And then, calling, there's all kinds of, mouth calls. I like a diaphragm type call that I like because you can kind of have your hands free.
Okay.
But you can use a box call, a slate call. They all kind of make different, similar sounds. And I would watch some sort of videos on how to call.
Right. Yes.
But don't overcall. But turkey hunting is something that now I've been doing about 20 plus years of, and no matter how much of an expert you think you are, you'll be humbled a few times a year. And I think it's a sickness because it's the same amount of effort that goes into like deer hunting or elk hunting or whatever. It's the exact same amount of effort, the same amount of driving, the same amount of preparation. It's a whole different set of gear and money you're going to spend for like 10 pounds of meat.
I know.
Like it is a sick obsession, but I love it. And it's the excitement that bird causes, makes when they gobble. I don't know how they can be so freaking loud, but all the hair stands up on your back and your neck, and it's just like, oh my goodness, this thing is just screaming at you. And it's kind of similar to elk hunting when they bugle that scream, just makes all the hair on your body stand up. But it's this little bird. I took a really dear friend of mine hunting that's from Brazil. Obviously they don't have wild turkey in Brazil, but he's hunted all over the world. He's hunted Africa. He's hunted Cape Buffalo. He's always wanted to go turkey hunting, so we took him turkey hunting. And he was shaking for like 10 minutes after, and he goes, I haven't shaken like this since I shot a Cape buffalo. Like he was he couldn't believe, how exciting this bird was. And it took him a long time to shoot it because he was there was, I think, a bunch of jakes and some less dominant toms and the big dominant tom, and they're all like, he just had this huge kind of show in front of him, and we kept being like, hey, you need to shoot. He was just watching. He was just taking it all in, and it was just such an incredible experience. And it's an amazing bird, and it's an amazing hunt. If you're new to it or haven't gone turkey hunting, I would highly recommend it. But it can be frustrating. Sometimes they're incredibly stupid and they do exactly what you want them to do, and they march right in. And some people use decoys. Sometimes you don't use decoys, but they come right to you. They come when they're called, and it's amazing. And then other times you will I remember one turkey. It took me like 20 days to actually shoot one. Yeah. I wanted to jump off a bridge. Like it was. And my wife was like, "Can you either shoot one or stop hunting because you're miserable to live with?" And the later in the season, it starts in the spring, our season's at the end of April. and I think sunrise is like 7 o'clock or something. So you go out at like 5 or 6. By the end of the season, you're getting up at like 3 a.m. to get out there an hour before sunrise because the sun is changing. The sunrise keeps changing, getting earlier and earlier, and it just gets, as the season goes on, it's like more miserable and miserable you become. But it's a fun addiction.
Well, that's one of the fun things about the hunt is that you can actually hunt in the spring.
Yeah,
so we've
totally.
got
Yeah, breaks up the year.
Yeah, so we've got bear. Do you have a spring bear here?
We do.
Okay. Yeah, it's just in Nova Scotia, and they had a big vote on whether they could.
Yeah, they stayed it, right? They stopped it, or they went ahead with it? I can't remember.
No. Apparently, they put the vote
down?
out to Halifax residents, and they're like, no, we like these bears. We don't want. They're fuzzy. They're cute, right?
Yeah, until they rip up your shed trying to get your garbage.
Totally, and they've got enough to support the spring hunt, but it was voted down.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But yeah, the turkey hunting's have you done much bear hunting?
I have not. So I have a friend that runs hounds after them, which I quite love.
Okay.
So it's kind of nostalgic because he's got some foxhounds mixed in with his walkers and coonhounds and stuff. So I'm really into that. I've done some of the sitting over a barrel. I've never actually I have killed one over a barrel, but I find the hounds more fun.
Okay. Yeah, in BC we can't do it over a barrel. Can't bait them.
Yeah.
Alberta you can.
Yeah. That's where I shot one over a barrel. Was in Alberta.
Yeah. So I've never hunted over bait.
Yeah.
I think it'd be an interesting thing to try out. I mean, it's
if you like getting eaten by bugs, it's great.
Yeah, I guess so, eh? But yeah, for those turkeys, I'll see them all over the side of the road in areas where I can't hunt them, and then the second they go out there in the wild, is morning time a better time to get them?
Yeah. So when I first started hunting them here, it was fairly new. You still had to take a turkey because they were extinct in Ontario. So you had to they reintroduced them in the 80s, I believe. And now they're flourishing, which is wonderful for conservation. But when I first started hunting them 22 years ago, you could only hunt till like 11 or noon or something.
Okay.
You could only shoot one. You had to take a turkey course on how to identify the wild turkey and all the rules and regulations around turkey hunting. You had to take it to a weigh station.
Really?
To have it weighed and recorded and stuff. So there was all these strict rules around turkey hunting. So you actually couldn't hunt in the afternoon. Now you can hunt in the afternoon. They cut it off. I think it's till like 5 because later than 5, they just start coming to their roost tree and they don't want people shooting them out of the trees.
Right.
I think is the sort of logic behind that. But they're more vocal in the morning. So it's definitely more exciting first thing in the morning. I actually have had probably better luck around the 10 a.m., 11 a.m. kind of time.
Okay.
At 6 a.m., they all fly down and they start doing their thing. So they're chasing their hens. They've got their sort of routine. If you're calling a dominant tom, he's most likely with hens that he's been kind of courting all season. So when you put up your hen decoy or if you're making your hen sounds, it's hard to pull the tom away from active, real hen. So after that sort of first sunrise vocal show, and sometimes you'll see them across the field, but they won't come. I think around like 9 or 10, the hens will go back and sit on their nests because they've got eggs.
Right.
So then the toms are out cruising looking for love.
Right, looking for love. That 10-11 window, I think I've got more game in that window than any time of the day. Yeah. And everyone talks about first light. And yes, I've gotten game at first light, but I seem to get more game in that window. Yeah, and it's...
But yeah, there are definitely, it's like hunting is like every kind of hunting. It's a lot of luck and it can happen any time of day. But
yeah, my buddy, he says, tip I use is I'll drive up to an area and early morning, I'll honk my horn. and if I hear something gobble back at me, okay, that's where I get out at. I'm like, okay. Well.
It's so funny. Like you'll hear a train go by and they'll gobble. It's called a shock gobble. So they get startled and they gobble. Yeah, you slam your car door, they gobble. I know some people, they hunt sort of crown land and they'll drive around and just kind of call at the truck window. And if something answers back, they shut the door, they run out with their gear and they kind of go set up, 20 yards from the road or whatever the legal limit is. But I don't know how ethical that is. But there's all kinds of ways you can do it. But.
So you're working on a new cookbook, perhaps?
Working on a new book, yeah. So the first one was very successful and I was really happy with it. Definitely a labor of love. And it did really well, and my publisher was really happy. It sold really well in the States too, which was really lucky for a first-time Canadian author. And I've definitely been a lot more passionate and inspired by cooking outside. So I mentioned earlier, the more time I spend outside, the less time I want to spend inside. And I've just created some really cool recipes cooking out at camps and hunting trips. So I wanted to do a book sort of more focused on cooking outside and a little bit of a barbecue sort of theme to some recipes, but over the fire. Some pizza recipes. I spoke about canning. There's a canned moose recipe in there, sort of inspired by my friends from Newfoundland. So this next one is over the fire themed.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Have you ever had moose nose?
I have actually. I had moose nose in Russia, of all places.
And
kind of gelatinous, cartilagey.
Okay.
Definitely interesting. I would love to try like an indigenous recipe here,
right?
Because I think in Russia, Siberia, they've kind of got their own recipes. But yeah, definitely interesting. Kind of cool. Love to. I've got some indigenous friends to hit them up for either recipe or to taste their cooking.
I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I haven't had moose nose. I hear in some cultures that's a delicacy.
Yeah,
and
Russia's very cool in terms of culinary. Not their politics and policies, but they can serve wild game. So my friend that was working there, I don't think the restaurant's open, these days with what's going on. But he worked at a place that everything was wild. Like they didn't bring in anything that was farmed. So I went in there and they had this dry aging room and there was ducks and beaver and moose and all this stuff. I was like blown away.
That's cool.
As a chef, for me, that's, my dream.
Yeah.
Because, unlike fish, you can't, unless you hunt yourself, you can't buy wild game because of market hunting and unless you go to Newfoundland, because market hunting in the 1800s just ruined it. So you can buy wild fish as a non-fisherman, but I think kind of people have the right to eat wild game, and I think with some species that are overabundant, maybe there's a way to do it.
So how come Newfoundland can get around that? What's so special over there?
There's a couple of different sort of theories, and I've spoken to my friends out there, and they said that it's always the way it's been, and no one's ever changed it. I heard it was a way to sort of cull the moose, because the moose are non-native to Newfoundland, the island anyway, and they're sort of pushing out the wild caribou population. They're just eating all the food. I've heard. I don't know how accurate it is, but there's more moose than people, so they're trying to kind of cull that. Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, but. And then I've also heard it's a tourism thing. They want people to experience Newfoundland, and they did it for tourism. I don't know the ins and outs, the legal stuff behind it, but for them it works. I don't know if it's all species or just some species, but again, in terms of conservation, I think there's a way to do it. I definitely don't want to support my entire restaurant with wild game, but in certain seasons, I think it would be fun to explore how to do it as a feature or as a now we can do it as a charity event. There's a lot of red tape and hassle that goes along with it, but I think if people have the right to eat it and try it, we've had some ideas and spoken to some people about ways that we could try and do it. Whether every hunter in Ontario can get 2 buck tags a year,
right?
Without allotting any more tags, why couldn't I use one of my tags to bring to the restaurant? It's right now it's against the law, but I think it'd be something to consider. It might be interesting for tourism for Ontario, and I think there'd be a lot of controversy. We might get the vegans back, But for me, it's I want to share that with people, and I don't want to necessarily make money off it or support my entire restaurant with it, because I don't think you could do that, sustainably. But I would like to share that with people that necessarily don't hunt. Like my wild turkey experience, like. Unless you go and hunt one or know someone that hunted one that can gift you that meat, which is pretty precious considering all the work that goes into that little bird. But I think that I think people would really enjoy that experience.
So do you? I'm guessing you spend more time now outside of the kitchen than inside the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time traveling too, don't you?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
How is that having a young family? Running a restaurant, traveling.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that?
Yeah, it's tough. We're lucky. We have great staff here, and I wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't. Definitely the first 5. We've been here 9 years now, so the first 5 years I was here a lot. Nights and weekends, and my whole life, as a 13-year-old kid, I've been working nights and weekends in restaurants. So, I've got 2 older kids and 1 young kid. So now I want to spend more time with my family. So I know we've got a great chef here that, we'll work together on the menu, but he runs the day to day. And I get to see my family. So, the traveling thing, that's, I don't travel, I once a month I'll take a few days for a trip somewhere during hunting season, as I'm sure you do. You travel more and, on the road more, but I'm not really gone for more than 5 days to a week, every month.
It's still a fair bit.
It's a fair bit, but I think if I was in the restaurant every day, I'd never be home. So,
yeah,
and that's the way my life was like for a long time. So for me, it doesn't feel like a lot, but I guess for the average family that's 9 to 5, sure, that seems like a lot. But my wife used to travel a lot for her work, so she really understands it. And for me, just on the sort of business side, now I work with some brands because I have a unique, niche that I can write recipes for hunting companies and work sort of I can still work in the food space, but in the outdoor space at the same time. Now it's a source of income. So it's my hobby, but it's also work now. So.
Yeah, there's always that difficulty of making your hobby your work, and all of a sudden the thing you found so much pleasure and joy in is now becoming something that's your work, right? Yeah. Is that something you have to wrestle with?
A little bit. It's not too bad. There was only really once that I got really frustrated with something because it was supposed to be a deer hunt where we were going to film some stuff, and it turned into, no, we're just filming some stuff and it's looking like a deer hunt. And I was like, yeah, this isn't cool. Like,
no kidding.
I voiced that pretty clearly. But yeah, that was probably my only experience that wasn't fun. But,
not a pretend deer hunter.
Yeah. I was like, this is no. Wait a second. Like, they're like, well, it really doesn't matter if we shoot a deer. We still have the filming. I'm like, no. So, yeah, for the most part, it's been very positive, and I've met some of my best friends and closest friends today from the hunting community and the outdoors community, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. He's an instructor and teaches hunter education and firearms safety, and he's I think he's in his 70s now.
Okay.
Anyways, Indo-Canadian fellow, and he says in his thick accent and telling me about it, he says, people talk about hunting and they talk about firearms and they say that these are just tools that will hurt people and that'll bring people down. And he says, all of my friends, I've met so many people. This is going out hunting and these firearms. This is a tool that I've used my entire life, and I've made connections with people that I'd never be able to talk to otherwise.
Yeah.
And he says, my closest relations and friends that I have are all because of this. And I always like that perspective that he had.
Yeah. And it's very strange. Like in North America, I think it's changing a little bit, but I think of Duck Dynasty and these sort of redneck, hunters, and I'm sure they ham it up a bit to lean more into that.
Oh yeah.
But in Europe and other parts of the world, hunting is a very high class kind of nobility type sport, and in North America, it's really looked down on. But when you actually talk to hunters and talk about the conservation piece, like all of the money generated from tags and generated from hunting sales in the States, percentages of those sales go towards conservation. And if you look at the whole Africa sort of hunting controversies, that without the hunting dollars, those animals die.
Right.
And I was, even as a hunter, I didn't understand the African thing. And I think it was the Cecil the lion sort of thing that blew up and went viral. Yep. I was like, that's stupid. Why would anyone shoot a lion? And then someone actually took the time to talk to me about, okay, the money that is generated by hunting these animals actually pays for the rangers that go in there and protect them. Because without, the anti-hunting community, they don't spend enough money on it. So anyway, it was just sort of fascinating. And then when you actually look at some of the science behind animal management, that some of these animals like lions or whatever that they are hunting in Africa, they're too old to breed. They won't let the younger lions breed. It's actually better for the population if you shoot the oldest dominant one. So it's kind of fascinating. Not that I don't have any desire to go and do it, but at least now I understand it and I'm not sort of ignorant about it.
You've hunted outside of Canada?
I have in the States, yes. I'm trying to think where I've done hunting in Italy with Frankie. Did some shooting in Brazil. There's some things you can do wild boar and stuff like that. Brazil, again, I don't think they had proper sort of management practices and they sort of banned hunting. It's coming back now with the invasion of wild boar. But I think that's it.
It's interesting looking at different cultures and how they approach hunting. Like you're saying in Europe, it's high.
But the funny thing is, we're all the same. Which is I've hunted with Italian guys that we don't speak the same language, but we'll laugh like someone will miss and then they start razzing their buddy. It's like we're all the same and we're all doing this for the same reasons and we just want to put food on it. Like it's really funny when you start looking at the different cultures, but like we're the same people.
That's it. You're connecting with nature. Yeah. You're connecting with each other.
Yeah.
You're doing something that's not easy.
Yeah.
There's a shared adversity to it all.
Yep.
And there's a celebration at the end.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Is there what do you see yourself in the future? Where do you see things going with yourself personally and with Antler?
Yeah, we've been here for 9 years, so we're struggling with growth. We'd love to grow the brand and grow the business. We've just had some bad luck with the economy and things like that. We were trying to buy a building during COVID and that fell through. Our interest rates now with borrowing and real estate are really out of whack. So, I'd love to grow the brand and maybe a few more locations, maybe a little bit of a different type of concept. One thing we didn't plan on here is being so meat focused, especially with if I butchered a whole salmon in front of the window, it might have been a lot different for us. But I love seafood and I love fish and seafood and people come here to try game meat. So I didn't realize that with the name and with the thing in the front window that we'd really turn into a wild game kind of steakhouse. But not there's anything wrong with that. I would love to sell more fish and it's hard with our name and concept that we've sort of created. But so I'd love to do a bit more of a seafood focused concept.
Like a completely separate restaurant?
It's a different restaurant, yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
You have a name thought up yet?
I don't have a name. No, finding a name for the restaurant was actually the hardest part of opening a restaurant.
Was it really?
One of the hardest parts. Yeah, we had hundreds of names on a white chalkboard. It was very difficult because once that name, like that's your identity forever.
Yeah.
Until you close it. So, or rebrand or whatever. But I would love to work with more fish. We've got the other book in the works. I'd like to continue the cookbooks. I think it helps me as a chef grow, and it's forcing me to kind of come up with new ideas and recipes. I'd like to do some more media stuff. I may have a show in the works in the outdoor space, just continue to kind of keep growing as a hunter and a chef.
Are you writing the full book front to back? You got people helping with certain areas?
So the first book, I definitely had a lot of help. This book I took on more of the writing myself, which was a challenge but fun. I definitely want to create more of a team environment for the book. My business partner is a photographer. One of his sort of jobs, careers that he has is in photography. So he does the food photography. I actually took a lot of the landscape and wildlife photography. I love photography, but I would love. When I was spoken to, guys like Hank Shaw or actually I don't know if he has a team, but there's a guy actually on the East Coast, Chef Michael Smith. He's done I think 12 books, so he's got a team. He's got some guys in the kitchen that help him, the photographers. He does all the writing, but he's got a team that help. I think it's 3 or 4 people. I'd like to maybe get a little team together for the books because it's so much work. My books are 100 recipes. And the writing, the photography, the cooking, everything, it's just crazy how much goes into it. And then you have to reshoot stuff and take multiple takes of things, and it's very, very difficult. So,
well, if you can template that, Hank, I don't think he's got a team.
Yeah.
He's a very talented writer, and I think his photos were mostly at one point anyways, was Holly doing it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're able to template that, and so everyone's got their tasks and
Yep.
you can roll it out, that'd be a lot of fun. But then, of course, you're relying on this whole team. But in the same breath, then you don't have to necessarily be the one driving it forward at every step.
Definitely in the writing the recipes, like I'm great at scribbling a recipe or in my phone in my notes. But when it comes to, putting it in the cookbook format, it's a very particular format, and the list of ingredients has to match the method, and it's definitely a challenging work.
Do you do much baking?
I love baking.
Yeah?
Yeah, I actually, my business partner and I did a bread course in Chicago with a master French baker, just to kind of, learn some more about sourdough and natural yeasts and stuff like that. But yeah, I love baking. I love pizza, even pastry. I love the pastry kitchen. And sort of a lot of chefs will specialize, and some chefs they hate pastry and they hate baking, and sort of vice versa. But I love it all. I love it. I love challenging. I love going down the rabbit hole of information and figuring things out. Recently, I had a sort of distilling and moonshining sort of rabbit hole during COVID.
Beautiful.
Which was interesting and fun, and I later found out completely illegal in Canada.
Well, but, BC, you can actually do it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Neat.
Yeah, you can have you're just not supposed to be selling it, I guess. But aside from that, you can have stills.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think, knock on wood.
Yeah, better check that out. But because of that and my hobby and learning about fermentation, we actually developed a gin with a local distillery called Nickel 9, and we're doing a cedar gin. So gin is usually juniper forward. One of our cocktails in the early days of Antler, we still have today, is a cedar gin sour. So we're taking gin. We're trying to figure out ways we incorporate foraging into the cocktail menu. So we started infusing, store-bought gin with just the green cedar boughs, like the leaves, and it had this beautiful forest flavor. So we, it took a while to figure out how long to infuse it. If you do it too long, it goes brown, and you get more of a woody taste. So I think it's a couple days we do it with that green leaf from the cedar, and it has a very fresh kind of foresty flavor. And then we do a cedar gin sour with that. So post COVID and my moonshining sort of hobby, we wanted to put this in a bottle and sell it. So now we have the Antler Cedar Gin.
I see it right there behind you there.
Get a picture of that later.
I had some last night, actually. It was fantastic.
Nice.
It was awesome. Very good.
So that's kind of how that happened. There's another project. I love tapping trees for maple syrup in the spring. Yeah. So I want to try and use that into a distilled sort of product that we're working on.
You guys have a lot of sugar maples around here, don't you?
Yeah, especially north of the city. One of the farms where I grew up, I play on the neighbor's farm. My mom sold the farm long ago, but I still go up and tap the neighbor's trees, and my business partner's cottage we tap up there. And just sort of for our own use, we make about 50 liters, I think, a year, which is not enough for the restaurant, but we'll do some little features or dinners with it, but most of it is just for home.
Okay. And so 50 liters, that's going to be like how many to make 50 liters? How much? That's a ton to make 50 liters, isn't it?
I find that it's depending on the season, but you generally get a liter per tap at the end of the year, a finished syrup.
Okay.
So it's anywhere from 20 liters to 40 liters of raw sap boiled down to make 1 liter of syrup.
That's crazy.
And that depends on the tree. So a sugar maple has a higher sugar content than like a red or silver maple, or where you guys are the big leaf maple.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all have sugar. It's just the actual species of tree, the sugar maple, has a higher sugar content.
We've got family in Nova Scotia who will do it.
Nice.
I've never done it back in BC because it's, I don't know, I've heard people do it with birch.
Yep. Yeah, you do birch syrup. Birch syrup happens, they run later. So you can actually make maple syrup first, and then the birch starts running.
Okay.
Maples, they stop running when they start to bud and the snow melts. They're kind of done. What happens when it freezes at night and thaws during the day, the sap flows up the tree.
Got it.
They're trying to feed the buds to grow leaves. And then once the snow melts, the birch start running for some reason.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that we should be talking about?
I'm sure there's lots, but that's it that comes to mind.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to when you're over here in BC or over
I'll
there
let
in BC.
you know. Yeah, I've taken up spearfishing.
Yeah?
I love throwing out crab and prawn traps.
Okay.
BC's great. I love BC.
Well, guess what? I've got prawn traps. I got
You're
crab
really
traps
awesome, man. Let's hang out.
spears.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool.
Yeah. I got a couple spear guns, but you know what I
Nice.
prefer to use?
Yeah.
It's just a Hawaiian sling.
Oh,
Just
really?
What are you
Cool.
using?
So I've only done it once, and a friend of my wife's actually, who I've become really great friends with. He's I think carpenter contractor by trade, and he makes his own spear guns on the island. So it's I think it's Brett Bickerson.
Okay.
Bickerson Spear Guns from Vancouver Island.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, so he does their kind of a wooden frame or stock, I guess, and then he's got the rubber bands and the metal spears.
Well, you've done some work with Meat Eater too.
Yes, yeah,
So Kimmy Werner,
yes.
have you done anything with her?
I've met her at a Traeger barbecue conference, which
Yeah.
was awesome. She's great. I haven't actually worked or connected with her. I haven't been to Hawaii in a while, but I'd love to do something with her. She's great.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll talk more off air here.
All right, awesome.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Man, thanks for having me and coming to Antler. This is great.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. And are you kidding me? I'm definitely going to be back here. This is amazing.